Hello, everybody. Today I am going to be diving into my pest analysis and sticking with the theme of my SWOT analysis. I have chosen to stay with Subway sandwiches as I feel like this is going to be a good company to continue to explore since there's already a good baseline established for Subway sandwiches. My name is Sean Smallwood. I am a graduate student at Western Carolina University, and this presentation is for ENT 610 Entrepreneurial Creation at Western Carolina University. Before I dive into exploring Subway, I want to first define what is a pest analysis, and it is a management tool that involves evaluating the political, economic, social, and technological factors that could impact a business. It's basically the short version of a pestle analysis, which is a little more in depth uh, framework that is used as part of the strategic business making decision process. A pest analysis is equally as useful, however, it is not in depth. Um, I think of a pest analysis as a quick snapshot that could be used to make decisions that might not require as much time or thought process, whereas a full pestle analysis might be more useful for decisions that could have a larger impact or that could end up either costing or generating more revenue for the company. If you have not had the opportunity to see a pestle analysis before, I wanted to give you this framework as a nice visual so you can have an understanding, and perhaps you might find this useful for your own personal or business needs in the future. So you can see we have pest, which is the first part of the pestle, which is again political, economical, social, technological, and then the end we have the E and the L, which takes into account the environmental factors and the legal factors. Below each category, you can see a brief description. If you would like to explore those more, please pause the video at this time and take notes if need be. Here is what the framework looks like for the pest analysis. You can see it starts on the top left and goes over to the right, moving into economic, and then it jumps down into the bottom left with the social factors. I want to say sociological. I'm so used to the pestle analysis. And then next to that, we have the technological factors on the bottom right hand side. Now that I have explained the basis of pest and pestle, I want to go ahead and start exploring Subway, and we're going to begin with the political factors. So we have government policies, as there are expansive government regulations and frameworks for every aspect of the food industry. Subway is a quick service fast food restaurant, so of course those would apply. This includes everything from the cleanliness to how your perishable food items are received and stored. Um, Going further into it, there is, labor laws and basically any anything that you could think that would be applicable to apply to every aspect of operations within the food service world. It's very complex. There's many different regulations. They can affect the margins of the food business or the profitability. Um, but you have to take into account that a restaurant is not just a place to go and get food. If processes and procedures are mishandled or not followed, you could be putting your consumers or the general public at risk for foodborne illnesses or even potentially death, especially those who have immunocompromised diseases and disorders, or small children and elderly who also tend to have weaker immune systems than those who do not fall within that range category. Which brings me into health policies, as these are the policies that affect the food industry. Um, Not necessarily like what I was just talking about, but more along the lines of nutrition. What can go into the food that we are consuming? So, Subway is already known for their healthier options. So, I think they're kind of already winning there. I know they've had issues with the ingredients in their bread having a high amount of sugar, but as those policies change, food industries and restaurants have to take into consideration the amount of calories and salt, sugar, carbohydrates, and fat that goes into their products. Next, we have trade agreements. These are barriers that can affect imported goods and exporting costs. Subsidiaries and support. These are potential it's potential assistance and financial help, government help that could affect the competitiveness of the industry. Then there are environmental regulations, uh, including policies on, farming and produce production practices. Then we have political stability, which is basically, the current state of the government, as political unrest can have deeper impacts regarding supply chain, um, farming production, and access to the market. Food safety regulations, there has to be standards regarding production, packaging, and distribution. Taxation policies, there's taxes on products, ingredients, and food related services, and then employment laws, which are the regulations that can affect agriculture and production, not necessarily just within the restaurant itself, but also outside of for their suppliers. Now we can go ahead and take a look at the economic factors. So you have to take into account consumer spending power, basically disposable income as the economy and the market fluctuates, as we all are feeling those effects right now because our economy is still in a very strange place due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and I believe which has now translated into just generalized corporate greed. Industries have realized that people are willing to pay higher prices for the same items, um, and they have not lowered their pre pandemic costs. Yes, there's still some costs that are associated that are high that probably affect these industries, such as current interest rates and the cost of transportation and fuel, as well as increasing labor costs. But it really is just boiling down to a lot of corporate greed. As the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. We've all um, heard that saying, which brings me, of course, I already kind of touched on it a little bit, increasing labor costs. So incomes grow for a reason because people are earning more money. Which really doesn't matter if everything continues to rise in price. It's like, what's the point? So overall, the cost of hiring has increased. Has it? This is caused by demand from employees to try and survive in the higher cost of living economy that has been created. But there's also uh, expectations for minimum wages for the government. I mean, not in North Carolina. Minimum wage sucks in North Carolina. It's absolutely atrocious. It's laughable. I can't imagine anybody who wants to work for minimum wage in North Carolina. Global commodity prices, so obviously prices of raw material, wheat, dairy, meat, all of that fun stuff, depending on where the ingredients of Subway bread is sourced, can obviously depend on their bottom line. And then, of course, global exchange rates, which is the cost of importing and exporting food products from across borders in different countries, inflation rates, economic stability, supply chain costs. You can see how all of these just kind of affect each other. Technological advancements, how does that factor into the economic factors? Well, as technology advances, costs can be reduced by creating more efficient production processes through automation. Interest rates, unemployment rates, market trends. So, kind of all of that fun stuff that all of us are all too familiar with right now. We have the social factors, such as health and wellness trends. So, there's increasing demands for organic, natural, or healthier food options. As technology continues to progress, scientists know more about food and the way that our body reacts with the food that we are consuming. There's obviously a clear relationship between the food that we consume and how that can affect our personal health. Um, Not taking into account genetic factors, because some people can just eat like a trash can and it doesn't matter. But there's many different factors, but we know more than what we knew 10 years ago. So because of this, many folks are looking for healthier ways to fuel their body. Um, it doesn't necessarily have a positive or negative effect about food, but it does mean that they might have to adapt their menus or change their recipes or ingredients to stay on trend with consumer demand. So, moving on, we have cultural diversity, which is the influence on food and the variety of food that is offered based on the cultural uh, diversity. So, if there's a large population of one culture that doesn't eat a lot of meat, then obviously having a area that's densely populated with high uh, meat serving restaurants and no vegetarian options is not going to be favorable. Demographic changes, so people age, populations go up, they go down, areas go from country and become urbanized, and family size that can impact the type of foods that we eat and the consumption pattern. Lifestyle changes, so people aren't slowing down. We're getting busier and busier. So as our lifestyles continue to become more demanding, we demand more convenience foods, but we still want healthy options, right? We can't just have it all be convenient because convenient food tends to be associated with quick options that aren't necessarily known for their positive um, health effects. Consumer attitudes, so growing environmental and ethical concerns can influence food choices. For example, the amount of cow, or not the amount of cow, the amount of water that it takes to produce beef. It's fascinating if you ever want to look up the amount of water that it takes just to raise one cow from birth until it is slaughtered and the meat is harvested. Um, social media influence, trends in viral food products that are shaped by online communities and influencers. Um, I don't know. I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of hearing about the viral ramen on TikTok. um, Education level, higher awareness of food safety, nutrition, and sustainability issues. Income distribution, which obviously affects who has access to what types of food products, including premium options. Personally, I have decreased the amount of meat that I have consumed over the past couple of years just to its rising cost, and I have found that there are much more affordable and cheaper vegetable options. It used to be the opposite. Vegetables used to be way more expensive than meats, but that is no longer the case. Just go to your grocery store and check out the price of a package of steak versus the price of a bag of salad. Traditions and beliefs, religious dietary laws, and traditional practices shaping food consumption, and then consumer activism, demand for corporate responsibility, fair trade, and ethical sourcing practices. Last but not least, we are going to wrap things up with the technological factors. So we have food production technologies, so advances in these type of technologies like hydroponics and aquaponics can enhance the production, the amount of vegetables that are produced, as well as sustainability. If you don't need soil to produce vegetables. This reminds me of a previous course with Dr. Lom, where we were looking to the future to gain new ideas for entrepreneurial ventures. And I did a presentation on urban gardening, and there is a lot of fascinating information about urban gardening, especially in big cities. Singapore, I think, is one to look at. If you care to check it out, go check out urban gardening in Singapore. They have vertical buildings that are completely dedicated to urban gardening, including livestock production, not just vegetable production. Moving on, we have supply chain innovation, which is blockchain, for transparency, uh, drones for delivery, and the Internet of Things for managing inventory. We have food safety technologies, improved methods for detecting contaminants and ensuring product safety, packaging innovations, smart packaging that extends shelf life and provides consumer interaction using QR codes. Alternative food developments such as lab grown meat, plant based meats, and other food alternatives. Automation and robotics in food processing, packaging, and in restaurants to improve overall efficiency and decrease those labor costs because everything's expensive now. So there's lots of different automations in the food industry, uh, even self-checkout screens, which can be found at McDonald's. They can be found at Taco Bell and other places. Um, Even hotels are utilizing robots to cook omelets, or those automated pancake machines where they dispense the batter and it cooks the pancake and flips it for you. So lots of good stuff. Then we have data analytics, big data, and artificial intelligence to analyze market trends, consumer behaviors, and make personalized marketing uh, as well as consumer behavior predictions. Then there is mobile and online platforms, food delivery apps, online reservation systems, and e commerce, sustainability technologies such as waste reduction, water usage, and reducing overall carbon footprints for restaurants in the food service industry, and then nutritional science advances. So these can take into account the ingredients. We talked about that earlier, what's going into food. And then we have the fortification of food and the development of functional foods to meet health needs. Fortification means they're adding things into the food that might be lacking. Like we know that milk is fortified with vitamin D because calcium and vitamin D go together like this when your body goes to absorb those nutrients. As you guys can see, there are lots of different things that go into a pest analysis regarding the food service industry. I briefly touched on them. They can be way more in depth. I chose the food service industry because that is the industry that Subway sandwiches falls under, and these are the factors that do have a direct impact regarding how they run their operations and their menu selection process, as well as the ingredients that go into their products. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know if you have any other questions, and I will answer them to the best of my ability or point you in the right direction. Thank you so much. And here is a list of my references, which I will provide at the end of this blog so that you may click on those links to do more further research should the mood strike you.